Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Rocket Hour. This is actually going to be our first only recap show that we've ever done here. But after Saturday afternoon, Aaron, you actually texted me and said, we have to do this. And I was like, yeah, why not? What else do we have to do to talk about, other than talk about, I should say, cashing tickets of thousands of dollars? The guide was fantastic. We're going to get into that. The Rockets were fantastic. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what we did wrong, what we did right. How can we improve next time out? What trends can we take for the rest of the championship meet over the next couple months or so? Before we get into it, how was the rest of your weekend? How was football Sunday? Any quick thoughts before we get into it?
Yeah, man, I woke up on Sunday morning. I said, you know what would be a good idea is to come out and come on the Rocket Hour, and you can go through what you did, and then I can go through the guide race by race and kind of give an analytical look at how Jared and I put together the tickets. I can tell you our thoughts leading up to the race. I can tell you like our process of how we landed on each thing and try to just make it a really educational look. And maybe you agree with some of the things we have, maybe you don't, but if you can just take away one or two little pointers moving forward, I thought that would be really good. So I thought this was a really good opportunity to do it. I'm pumped. It was a really fun Saturday. Sunday was fun too with the games. Jared was over at my house screaming like a maniac last night for the Chiefs victory. So that was kind of fun to watch. And we get Brady versus Mahomes. So that's cool too. But yeah, I'm ready to hop in, man.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. We will talk some football at the very, very end. We will definitely try to save some time for that. But let's get right into it. Well, we're only going to show the stakes races, and we'll do that here. It was weird. Normally at most tracks, you kind of have your undercard, and then you kind of go into the stakes races. Gulfstream kind of threw us in with a mix with having a race won by performer. He kind of made a meal of that field, in my opinion. It ended up being a neck, but I really thought performer was the strongest of the group. Eye Jedi did run well. This is the Fred Hooper Stakes, Grade 3 for 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 mile, 1 turn, 8 furlongs on the dirt. I'll kind of let you start. This was a good start for the guide. I'll get into that early sequence. I was bounced early on in race 1, but we're going to kind of get into it. Kind of walk me through how you and Jared kind of went through this race.
Well, first of all, when you see a stakes race that's out of that late sequence, that means they put it there. The racing offices put it there because they believe a heavy favorite is going to win, and they don't want it to be part of the late pick 4, pick 5, or pick 6. So that's why you'll see a stakes race positioned early on the card sometimes. So there's your first indicator that there might be a standout in the field. When you take a look at the guide, and I'll pull it up just real quick for you, we invested $314 on the 7 stakes races. That was we wanted to get that $300 budget. We ended up with $314, so we were close. And we invested a third of our bankroll right here with a $100 win ticket on number 1 performer. And our theory was this is no doubt, without any question, the biggest standout on the card when you look at it on paper. And, we did the same kind of thing with the Monomoy Girl at the Breeders' Cup and the same kind of thing with Golden Pal at the Breeders' Cup, where it's like, these are standouts. We will choke down a short price because the horse should be a short price. We thought the horse really, when we looked at it on paper, was a 1 to 2 type. We get 4 to 5. That was really good. It's a $90 return as far as profit to kick it off. So that's great. You're up $90 and you've got $214 left. So it's a really good bankroll builder. That's why we did it. This conversation between Jared and I took 1 minute. He gave me my thought. What we do, I go through all my thoughts. He goes through all his thoughts, but we don't tell each other. It's separate. And then we don't influence each other when we're handicapping. And then we get on the phone or get on FaceTime and we go through each thought. This was very simple. We both said easy horse, winner. It's a single. And for our purposes, we're going race by race wagers. This is a strong play. So yeah, good way to kick it off. Just real quick before I kick it to you, Ricky, I will say I don't think Performer ran fantastic in this spot. I think Eye of a Jedi was fantastic. I think that horse did everything he possibly could. I think Performer is better than what he ran. I don't know if I really want that horse in the future because you think about it, he's going to probably have to step up in class for his next race. He's not going to win if he runs that kind of race again. So he's going to need improvement. If he's on another guide in this situation, it's probably not a $100 wager, but to cash a ticket in the future, as my good friend Paul Withrow told me, you would have to have a time machine. So we'll take the $90 here and we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, to your point, I'm going to get into, it was really quick, and we're going to bring back the chart here. So
because we both try to do it at the same time.
yeah. So everyone could see it. Yeah, real quick, guys, we are going back and forth. He has his stuff to show. I have my stuff to show. So just kind of bear with us real quick if we have any technical issues as we're kind of working it out. I agree. You got 7 to 5 on the morning line with Performer, but I thought that was going to be pretty tough to get.
Yeah.
I use Performer as a single in my ticket, and I'll show that right here. We're going to stop sharing this real quick, and we're going to bring along my product in the way I was kind of going about it. So right here, you could see these are the tickets, and this is the way, if you guys are new to the product or you've seen it before, if you've seen it before, great, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know and you haven't seen it before, this is kind of what it looks like. At the top, I always have a few bullet points or a paragraph on what I think horses to use, bubble horses, very, very simple to the point. This is where it comes to the ticket structure. So you can see here, I'm not going to go through the previous races, but right here, if you guys are familiar, it's hard for me to kind of, I think you guys could see as I'm doing this here. Yeah. I went deep with races 2 and 3. I thought that was wide open, but the one right here, that was the big single. That was Performer, and I was able to get through. And we talk about this all the time, not only on the Rocket Hour, but all of our live streams. If you like your single, you need to press that opinion. A $48 pick 4 with a single isn't cheap. I'll be honest, but you have to know on a day like this that the payouts will take care of themselves. This isn't a Wednesday afternoon when we come on here and it's maiden claiming for Florida breds that haven't left their homes in the last 36 minutes. These are horses that are planning to come to this day and kick off their 2021 campaign. Many of these horses at the same time, as if you guys have the opportunity to pull up your past performances, haven't run at all in 2021. Why? Because they're in preparation for this race. So we could take a look at, some of the other runners do have that 1 month layoff, so it's not quite as long. But Performer hadn't run since the Cigar Mile. Okay, then he comes in, bad performance. I don't want to say dominates, but was clearly the best in the class of this field coming into it. Maybe didn't show out like that, but at the same time, he wants to be on the lead. Didn't get a chance to do that in the Cigar Mile. So I thought this was a strong single. I think the Cigar Mile had True Timber, Snapper Sinclair that finished 1-2, and those horses are probably better than this field. I just said, look, if someone's going to be Performer, they will have to run the race of their life. At Eye of a Jedi, I almost did that.
Yep.
But wasn't good enough. So if I'm going to go back here to that sequence, that race that we were just talking about. Not for that fact, but because of what we were able to do. On the previous screen that you guys saw, you saw that green was highlighted. I always highlight the left column for things I'm alive to. And if I highlight the right column, that means we were able to cash. So we're going to scroll here before we get to the main card I guess, as we eliminate the undercard. Mm-hmm. Olympic Runner was a horse that I used. Also, I was all over this race. I used 2, 7, 8, 12. Obviously, if you guys were out of the pick 5, you were really, really excited because if you had the 2, 7, or 8, or 12 at this moment and you played it back, you probably had a really, really, really strong feeling that you were going to get this home. I'm not going to go through what the payouts were because I think that's not really the point of this. We're going to kind of go to what we actually were able to get. Mm-hmm. And you can see here the 50-cent pick 4 with 4 correct was $724. Look, I don't know about you guys, if you $724 sure could do a lot for me. We're going to scroll this at the bottom. A lot of people said, well, I don't have the opportunity to play it back. I don't have that much. Okay. Or how can I play it all? Okay, well, maybe you can't. Maybe you can't afford to play it all. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people can't. I save a lot of money for these days, and I'm really confident, and I take my time, so I do. I put here the total wagers was $652.80. You could see the total returns of $4,503.92. Mind you, the two races we weren't able to get was that crazy maiden race with Prevalence in the 6th. I'll be honest, wasn't on that. And the first race, Apurite, we were about a nose away. So we pretty much, at least on the Rocket Hour and Ricky's Rockets and the guide, absolutely crushed Saturday. And we'll get into the back half of the card, but it's just one of those things. This is the point that I'm trying to make. Single your opinion. Don't go. I didn't see anyone beating Performer if he ran even a B race, and I think Aaron and I would agree. He ran a B race, maybe B plus. It wasn't an A, it wasn't an A minus, and it definitely wasn't an A plus. But this is what you do. That's $724. If that's the only thing you hit and you played every wager I recommended, you still made money. And I don't recommend you betting everything. Please don't do that. You have to pick and choose your spots, what you're comfortable with. But at the same time, that's one of the things that you have to do. You have to be smart with your opinions. We were able to do that. Aaron crushed it with the guide on that one. And let's get to the other stakes races here, because that's what people really want to hear about. It started to get interesting, and here's Prevalence, who absolutely ran away. Aaron talked about it before the show. There will be a lot of people in the fantasy league trying to get a claim on Prevalence. I'm sure there will be a shake at some point, so tune into that. I assume it'll be a shake.
You'll definitely be seeing me tomorrow in a shake for Prevalence. Just FYI to everybody.
The emails will be flowing in for sure with Prevalence. Let's talk about race 7, and then that's really kind of where it kicked off the back half of my day, and we'll really get into that. We will be showing the guide. I think we could show the guide, hopefully with the consensus picks at the end, and I'm going to give some stats on that. Aaron, I'll kind of let you talk this one through. This was the Marshalls River Stakes Grade 3 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 mile on the turf. I thought this was kind of the most competitive race in the sequence, to be honest with you. The favorites, the Fell, ran really, really well, but I thought this was kind of wide open, could have gone in a lot of different directions.
Yeah, so I'll pop the guide back up here. This was race 7, and Jared and I, like I said, we go through and we do it all on our own, and then we get together and figure it all out. We were all over the place with this one, so it's just like, listen, we don't have a strong opinion. It's very obvious, and it was very quick that we didn't. We did a 4-horse trifecta box. We boxed the 1, 4, 6, and 8. And we ran 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So, I mean, our horses ran okay, but it was bad handicapping. We didn't have the top 2. Jared loved Bellora, and I thought Bellora ran a pretty damn good race for the price. I wasn't disappointed, not near as disappointed as the number 4 Vigilante's Way, who was my top choice and just ran like shit. Evil Lynn, I thought that horse would be on the lead. Nowhere, not even close to the lead. That was a disaster. And then I thought Tunes ran okay. This was one of those races where we invested $24 and we played that try for $1 because we thought, boy, the value is there. It's not impossible that those 4 horses are going to make up the try, and we could have a pretty darn good payout here. So we took a swing. It didn't work out. This was, it was bad handicapping on our part. This was not a ticket structure problem, and there's a huge difference. And you always, when you're looking back, and we very much encourage you to look back and do this yourself after your day's over and look at your wagers and your handicapping and what you could have done different. And it's very important to know the difference between where we handicapped wrong and where we wagered wrong. This was a handicapping issue, and it jumps out on paper. We didn't have the top 2 horses in our 4-horse trifecta box, and we missed the top 2. Sure, we ran 3, 4, 5, 6, but that ain't nothing. You got to have. Now, if you run 1, 3, 4, then maybe you're sitting here saying a little bit different. But it was a bad handicapping race for us. We took some shots, and it just the shape of the race didn't turn out like we thought either. So, you just move on after this one and say, well, we didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. One of the biggest, You know what? I guess to bounce off your point, thank you for bringing that back up. One thing to bounce off that fact, and I completely agree with you, having a ticket structure thing wrong is frustrating. But at the same time, at least you know you were in the area and you could do it. You could always fix ticket structure and you could always learn from that. The handicapping thing to me gets me even more upset because I know how strong of handicappers you two are. And I would have been shocked for you guys not to get to Zafel and Sweet By and By because I'm with you with Vigilante's Way. I used the 3, 4, 6, and 10, not in that order. I can give you the order that I put them in. I went 10, 6, 4, 3. That doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it good. I use Sweet By and By, and I'll be honest with you, I'll use Sweet By and By again, or whatever the hell the horse's name, Sweet By and By again, I should say, in that exact same spot because I thought, look at if you guys, I don't mean to cut myself off. Take a look at if you have the opportunity, if you're looking at the screen, you have the horse's name, but you see last race, excuse me, June 27th at Belmont, October 25th at Belmont, and at Bellora, September 25th at Churchill Downs. If you look at the horses that didn't run well, that's including Nico's Dream, who I thought could have been okay. Great Sister Diane was a long shot. Vigilante's Way. All these horses were coming out of the My Charmer Stakes, or a lot of them were. That race proved to be disgusting. I've made the case on this show on the Rocket Hour, I don't know how many times, the horses that are coming from Belmont and Aqueduct run well at Gulfstream. You want to listen to it, fine. You don't want to listen to it, that's fine too. We've said on Aaron, you've said the same thing. On multiple occasions, those turf races are better than the Gulfstream turf races. I don't care. We're not talking about the Pegasus turf. We're not talking about that. We're talking about these ridiculous races that people say, oh, well, they have Gulfstream. Okay. Zafel hadn't run since June. Did that matter? Sweet By and By hadn't run since October 25th. That matter? Bellora hadn't run since September 25th. I thought Bellora at almost 10-1 was solid. So you got value there. I didn't like Bellora, and that's fine. I didn't have to. I was able to get through using my fourth choice, but I said this was going to be we talked about this, maybe off air. We maybe didn't get to do this on the Rocket Hour. This was going to be one of the most difficult races to break down. Everyone said that. Everyone said that. And I'm looking here at the guide. How many people used Zafel? There were 7 of us, and we're going to get to it, and I think we'll be able to get to the consensus picks at the end. 2 people had Zafel on top. No one had Zafel for second. No one had Zafel for third. 3 people had Zafel for fourth. If that's not an indication of being all over the place, yeah. So I was able to get by, and it's one of those situations. This is why I always say I like playing the multi-race, because when you are wrong, you could still be right. This was that situation. I didn't have Zafel on top. I used Sweet By and By. I was the only one to use Sweet By and By on top, and Sweet By and By ran second. I'm not disappointed with that effort, not at all. So, and maybe you could point to the layoff. I'm not going to do that, and I don't point to the layoff for the simple fact that these trainers are training their horses to run off layoffs. I don't want to hear. I never like hearing off a layoff. The trainer knows more than we do, folks. I promise you that. So if they're taking their time off a layoff, trust them, unless they're not a good trainer. So it's one of those situations. Like, do you think Brennan Walsh is good? I do. I think Aaron does. Sweet By and By. Do you think Savvy Joseph's good? I do, and I'm pretty sure Aaron does. So if you guys want to think your own thing about layoffs, then go for it. That's your problem. So we were able to start this sequence, race 7, with a bang. Couldn't get Sweet By and By home. That would have been a little bit better for me. I'm not complaining, because we're gonna get to some races that really went damn sure went well for us. Let's go to the next race. We kind of talked about that enough, because my energy will start to pick up real soon, even more, if you thought I wasn't animated now.
I can't wait. It seems high right now. So
I'm going to try to pronounce the name of this stakes race. So the La Prevoyante, I hope I did that right, stakes. I was all over on this race. I'm going to introduce who we kind of had in this spot. This was for grade 3, going 1.5 miles on the turf. So that's 12 furlongs. We talked about, I think this was our first stakes race on the live show. So if you have to hear me again and you did it wrong, Sorry, but you should have listened. That's all I'll say. You should have listened. Everyone was going through their top choices. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. I like Delta's Kingdom. I like Heavenly Curlin. I said, who's the best horse in the race? Always Shopping is the best horse in the race. Who won the race easily? Always Shopping won the race easily. Oh, yeah, but, we've got Traipsing and we've got Captain Crew. Always Shopping is the best horse in the race. He came in that way. Granted, she had come in, excuse me, off of a race on December 19th. You could say, well, I thought you were talking about layoffs. Did you see how she won that race? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think we have to talk about the layoff. Aaron, I'm going to throw it to you. Kind of tell me what you thought of Always Shopping. Kind of tell me how you guys looked at it at the guide. I think we handicap very similarly, so I'm sure you have similar feelings to how I did.
Yeah, well, thankfully, after the rant there, that I did have Always Shopping as my top pick, so I don't have to get scolded for not having Always Shopping. So that's great. Yeah, so I had Always Shopping on top, but I wasn't like bullish on the horse, and I didn't want to play like a $1,500 win wager on Always Shopping, but I did definitely want to key the horse on top, and so that's what we did. We played a $1 trifecta, and we keyed the 1 and the 12. I'll get to the 12 in a second, Court Return. And then in the second spot, we had 1, 7, 8, 12. And then the third spot, we had 1, 7, 8, 12. So I'll kind of go through it. Yeah, of course, Always Shopping, top pick. It was Jared's second choice, I believe. So it seemed like the logical one. Jared really liked the number 12, Court Return. And that's a horse I did not have anywhere on my top 4. But he did make his case strong enough where I said, if Always Shopping wins, it's not going to pay a ton. So I'm okay with putting Court Return as that second horse up there. Maybe we get an upset. And even if Court Return hits the board with Always Shopping, well, it does create value for the try. So I was all right with it. And like I said, he made some decent points and enough for me to put him in the try there. We also thought Heavenly Curlin, the number 7 at the distance, would be pretty good. And the horse did run decent, got up in the late stages, just couldn't hit the board. And then we love Delta's Kingdom underneath as well. And of course, she gets second. For us, we look back at this, we felt pretty good about this race. We just didn't get a lot of luck. Of course, Always Shopping wins. So we have the horse there in first. Delta's Kingdom hits the board there in second. So we felt good about that. And Heavenly Curlin was moving late, but we just never could have got to those long shots that finished third and fourth. Of course, we just needed the third horse. So, maybe you look back and say, well, we structured the ticket a little wrong, but, I don't really feel that way. I just feel like we just didn't get lucky there and get that third horse. I kind of felt we were all over this one. And, for Jared's horse, number 12, Court Return, I kind of felt bad because his logic was this horse will come out of the clouds. And then the horse is almost on the lead as we start the race and around. And Court Return didn't run horrible. So, we only invested $12 here. So it was kind of one of those situations where this was our weakest, opinion of the whole thing. It would have been really nice to get that home, but, just didn't get a lot of luck with this trifecta.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have two points. I'm gonna go to if that's pulled up. I'm gonna go to we're not gonna show the ticket till the end. This is what I went with here. You could see in race 8, Always Shopping, Traipsing, Delta's Kingdom, and Campbellisa. I just wanted to show that real quick, and I'll get back to the chart. We've talked about on the Rocket Hour, I don't know how many times, or a lot of the turf racing at Woodbine comes back awful, absolutely awful. So now, granted, I'm also watching every single turf race at Gulfstream, just like you are, just like a lot of people probably are in the build up to this. Last time out would have been the situations to fade Court Return. So I do agree with the fact that at least Court Return had now gotten one start over this turf course. If you're putting stock into the race that Always Shopping won last time out, I agree about Court Return. If you listened on the live stream, we were drafting the pick 5. This was not the pick 5. This was the pick 5, but we didn't draft that. We were going to in the pick 4. That's what we did. But I just said to myself, I don't know about court return, at least as a win candidate. And that's what you're trying to do as a pick 4, pick 5, pick 6 player. You don't care about who comes in second. You are trying to find win candidates. So that's a massive difference. That is a good point to bring up. But one of the things we talked about was that Luis Saez was going to bring it up. Luis Saez was riding back. That point is interesting and true. But it speaks more volumes when Luis Saez was on one of these other horses. One of my biggest things, and Aaron, I know you'll nod your head, I've beaten this point to death, the group of 6. I don't want to hear about races that came 9 times ago in 2019. If the horse only has 2 races since 2019, then that's relevant. But I look at a group of 6 because I don't care what you did after that, or I should say before that.
Right.
Luis Saez had no mounts on any of these horses, so of the other 11 in the last 6. So you have 66 opportunities for Luis. Now, granted, some of these horses ran against each other, so I don't know how many exactly opportunities. Let's say it was 50. Luis Saez wasn't on any of them. So Luis Saez was on court return last time out. He's riding back, but he had no other experience in the previous 6. And I came on before the air, and he said that's a great point to bring up. There's a difference when you're talking about riding back. So, for example, if Johnny Velasquez hops off Cap de Crew and goes to court return, that speaks volumes to me. That's something where I have to mark it down. I have to circle it. I have to do something. Similarly, Joe Bravo hadn't had any mounts in the previous 6 on English Affair. That doesn't mean much to me. I will agree. We will all agree Luis Saez is a better rider than Joe Bravo. I don't think that's much for debate. But I don't like when people say that rider has experience when he doesn't have any experience on someone else. Or if Delta's Kingdom, Junior Alvarado hops off him to go on Heavenly Carlin or whatever, you can make her. It's just one of those things where I agreed. I don't remember who said it, and it's not important. I was just thinking to myself, I don't necessarily think that point's all that great just for the mere fact that he had no previous experience. So in terms of this race, and Aaron wanted to come on here and talk about learning points, keep that in the back of your mind. If this rider, he or she, male or female, has no experience on another horse, let's not just say, oh, he's riding back because he loved the horse. No, he had no experience on the other horses. Please keep that in mind. We're going to get back to did you want to add anything else to that point or anything else about Always Shopping? I put Always Shopping on top. I talked about Always Shopping in the beginning. I don't have anything else to add there.
Yeah, let's just move on. I'm with you because that race, it's frustrating for a lot of reasons. Because say you bet Always Shopping to win, and I'm talking about my style of doing things now, it's still frustrating because it's like, yeah, you didn't get that great of a price. So let's get on because I think this is to me the most interesting race for you to talk about. So let's get on to the 9th.
Yeah, so I think we're good here. We are. Again, we're staying tried and true here. We're trying. Race 9 was the Inside Information Stakes, Grade 2 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. Take note, Inside Information, one of the best names for a stakes race I've ever seen. I think it's awesome. You always love to hear inside info. You feel like you got something going there. This is where we went on the guide. I think we were drafting the pick 4. Yep. I don't have that ticket in front of me. If you were listening, maybe you could pull that up or someone could tell us about it. I think this is really, really important for us to kind of get to it. I used the 2 Cinnabunny on top. I just kind of thought that this was a standout. I really liked the Sugar Swirl. I did think she would be on the lead, but I was afraid that a horse like This My Time would also get to the lead. That's kind of the way it played out. The 2 and 4 kind of did their battle. Cinnabunny, you could see, who finished, I believe that's 5th. It's a little small. Had the lead at the beginning. This My Time was right there on its neck or half length behind, however you want to go about it. But I said, this race could kind of shape up to be a little interesting. If these 2 do battle, I want the horses that are going to sit right behind those 2. So I said, I'm going to go with the 2, 3, 4, 6. Who did that include? The 6, Pacific Gale, and the 3, Bronx Beauty. The Bronx Beauty, as you could see, ran exactly the way that I thought it would go. I wish we had a chance to talk about these races last week so we can kind of go back on it. But you could see Bronx Beauty, who finished third to last towards the bottom of the screen, was sitting right in that spot that I'm describing, fourth by a length, right there, sitting in that spot along with Pacific Gale to take over. That's why I included those. This thing really, really heated up, even though you could see the fractions 22-2. I thought that Pacific Gale and Bronx Beauty were not that much worse than Cinnabunny. And if you take a look, if you guys have the opportunity to take a look at Pacific Gale, she had to face fillies and mares that were better. On her way, just better than this group. I would still say that to this day. And Frank's Rocket is certainly better. Excuse me. And the Gallant Bloom, I think, right? That was the Gallant Bloom that she ran it, I believe. One of the things that we also talked about was the distance with Pacific Gale. It didn't seem to be an issue. I'll harp on it again. If you're coming from New York, you're going to run a Gulfstream, you're probably going to do really, really well. Mike Thomas talked about Kentucky Downs, how that was kind of playing out, and that had a really, really strong, I think that was Kentucky Downs to Keeneland, I believe, Aaron. Am I right on that?
Mm-hmm.
These are trends. Please get on these trends. I am begging you to get on these trends because it is working every single time. This is working. Johnny Velasquez had the opportunity to get this mount again after Kendrick Carmouche did, because Kendrick Carmouche stayed in New York. John Kimmel brings Pacific Gale down and makes sure Johnny Velasquez gets aboard. I think that was nice to know because he probably could have gone in a few different directions. He could have gone with maybe Junior Alvarado, who didn't have a mount in this spot. But he goes with John Velasquez. I think that was important. Pacific Gale just sat the dream trip. 16-1 from a 6-1 morning line. I'm here for it. I'm here all day for it. I should have played that horse to win. I'm an idiot for not doing it. How did you kind of see that race playing out? And in terms of moving forward, do you want the top two choices, Cinnabunny or This My Time, back?
Yeah, so this is definitely the separator is what I would say for you. This is where you knocked out a bunch of tickets. And there was a great call on Pacific Gale. I'll get to that horse in a minute. Unfortunately, I have to go into our guide because that is what I'm doing here. So we came into race 9, the last 4 races on the card, $54 ahead. So we were feeling pretty good. We weren't really down about the 7th and 8th race. We took shots. It didn't come in. This race had us, this was the low point of our day because we played a $50 win ticket on Cinnabunny, and we just had the assumption of, I understand what you're saying about the other speed, but this is Brad Cox speed, and we just thought that horse will get out in front and won't stop. And then we also kind of thought, and this was our biggest thing, she didn't run very well last time out. But you watch the race, she didn't get the trip that she normally gets. So we kind of thought, okay, you're going to get a little better price than probably what you should here. Because if you scratch out the last race, the horse looked like a pretty strong favorite. So here's what's weird. The horse is bet hard the whole time. 4-5, even money, 6-5. And Jared and I are still feeling like, well, I think she's going to win, but this is not the price we're going to get. Horse loads in the gate, pops the gate, is in the lead, and 2-1 flashes up on the screen. And we're like, I've never seen this. It's always the opposite when we bet a horse. They go in at 6-5, they come out at 3-5. This horse went in the gate like at 7-5 and is 2-1. And rounding the turn, I said, Jared, we're gonna make $100 here. Like this horse, they haven't asked this horse. She's on cruise control. Yeah, there was another horse with her, but she was kind of clear of them. They weren't really going that fast. She drops anchor so bad. And yeah, sure, if you want to make a case that, well, the other horses, the winner was just better, and that could be. I'll get to that in a second. This horse still should have held on second, third. She dropped anchor, something horrible. All of a sudden, in a matter of 2 seconds, I'm sitting there thinking we're going to be up $150 going into the last 3 races, and we love the last 3 races. And instead, we're at $4 after cashing a $100 win wager just a few races later with 3 races to go. I wanted to hit the floor after this. I I was just in shock at how bad Cinnabunny was in the stretch after a trip that I thought was pretty good. I always like when my horse is in the lead, they've rounded the turn and they haven't asked the horse to run a bit yet. Yeah, I like that. I would have bet Cinnabunny 100 times at the top of the stretch. So it was very disappointing to get the Pacific Gale. This is a horse I had in fifth. And I used 4 horses in a lot of the pick 4s that I played in 5s. And so I was very frustrating. Here was my deal. I thought, if anything, Pacific Gale would be on the lead and they would wear each other out, being the 2, the 4, the 6. And I thought the 6 would be a likely one to fade, not the 2 or the 4. So I really got this race wrong 100%. There's no way around it. This was a terrible handicapping job. I'm not going to say it was a terrible wager because I think going into the race, if you would have said Cinnabunny's 2-1, I would take a win wager on that. So it's a terrible wager because it didn't cash. But before the race, I thought it was a good one. So it was just bad handicapping. The 6 Pacific Gale, incredible job to add that horse. And again, to me, this was your big separator. And I think the best point that you made that I 100% agree with, 16-1, sign me up all day for Pacific Gale, that the odds were too big on that horse.
So to attack, I completely agree. 16-1 was crazy. I also agree that Cinnabunny, when you watch the odds, whether it's sports betting, whether it's horse racing, whatever you want to get involved with, there's smart money. The smart money was not going on Cinnabunny. That horse was fading the wrong way.
Yep.
Because if you are familiar with the way the odds work, to go from 6-5, which is a decimal of 1.2, to 2-1, which is obviously 2.00, is an incredible.
Yep.
It's not. There's a difference between 8-1 to 6-1. That seems bigger. To go from 6-5 to 2-1 is incredible.
Well,
it's absolutely incredible.
Just real quick, you'll get on Twitter and you'll see people complaining that horse went in at 12-1 and then out of the gate at 6-1 or something like that. That happens all the time. But a horse going from 6-5 to 2-1, I haven't seen that, but maybe once or twice ever at a bigger track like Gulfstream, Santa Anita, Oakland, places like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I completely agree. Not at these types of places, not
right.
At these types of days, and arguably we would make the case maybe the Florida Derby might be their biggest day. I would say the Pegasus Day is their biggest day. That's my opinion, and I'll be more than happy to debate that with someone else. But in my opinion, this was their biggest day. You have a $3 million race. It's your biggest day. You have $1 million turf race. It's your biggest day. That's just me. Some people might think otherwise. If you believe in the Kentucky Derby trail more, you'll go with the Florida Derby. I don't believe that's the case. But nonetheless, the other race that I wanted to point to was Bronx Beauty. Mm-hmm. I tell me if this logic makes any sense, and I'm going to get to my consensus before we wrap this up. Bronx Beauty in the Sugar Swirl beat Cinnabunny. So how do you not use Bronx Beauty? How do you not? If you're playing the multi-race sequence, not your sequence, for example, the multi-race sequence, you have to use this horse. You just have to, unless you're throwing out Cinnabunny. And if you're throwing out Cinnabunny, well, then I don't know what you're doing. This My Time hadn't faced any of these and came. We knew the distance wouldn't be an issue, but faced Allowance Optional Claiming wasn't tested. The other stakes race was on a sloppy track, and she kind of just ran away. She was not in great form before that. So that's why I used This My Time for third.
Yeah.
Bronx Beauty in the Pumpkin Pie lost by 4. It came in fourth by 9 4/4 lengths. We're getting close to 10 lengths. Pacific Gale finished second in that race. So if you liked Bronx Beauty, which you have to because you like Cinnabunny, and if you like Cinnabunny and you like Bronx Beauty, how do you not use Pacific Gale, who beat Bronx Beauty? So the logic, it's not completely irrational. And this is my point. Some people said, I saw on Twitter, and I think we were talking, I wouldn't have gotten to this horse. I just gave you the logic as to how you can get to this horse. I don't want to hear that. I don't understand when people tell me I couldn't see that horse. This horse at 16-1 was the best 16-1 you probably saw all Saturday. I promise you, because and we're going to show it here. I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute just to kind of get to kind of show you guys my thought process. And I'm not making this up. I put this horse second because I said this is that situation where I rank horses how I see them finishing. I thought Cinnabunny would win. When I do my top 4 consensus, I've gotten emails saying, well, do you think these are the win contenders, or do you see how this is how the race is going to finish? And I think that's a great question to ask because that's very, very important. This is how I thought this race was going to finish: 2, 6, 3, 4. I don't know how far off. I'm going to take a look now. Bronx Beauty was a little bit worse. This My Time finished second. Actually, This My Time did well to hold on to second. I will give that horse credit. But I did put Pacific Gale second, so it wasn't like the first race in the pick 6 where it felt I got lucky. I had Pacific Gale right there, so I don't want to hear about any logic how you couldn't get to Pacific Gale. I just broke it down. So I don't want to hear that from anyone. I know, Aaron, you didn't say that because you understood this horse and you thought at 16-1 it actually made a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Other people on Twitter, I never would have gotten to it. Well, that's not my problem because that probably knocked you out. You maybe should have bought the Rockets and listened to the live stream. And that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. Let's get to the back half of this pick 6 sequence, or race 2, I should say, of this pick 4. We didn't use Pacific Gale in when we were drafting the pick 4. And that's okay. Luckily, I was still alive. I think Slim used that horse as well. Yep. He came on a little bit later. I'm going to let you talk about this race because I think you were a lot more bullish on Tide of the Sea than I was. Obviously, I used Tide of the Sea. We're going to talk about the winning ticket. But I was much more willing to use Doswell, Sadler's Joy. I had Tide of the Sea as my third horse, but I think we could agree before I throw it to you, 10-1 morning line was probably one of the worst of the day.
Yeah, it was. So I'll pop the guide up again here. So like I said, we're $4 ahead, and this is kind of I'll get in a little bit of mentally about in horse racing. You've got to have a short memory, So race 4, we cash. We're up $90. We go 3 races in a row. We lose. Whether it's a terrible handicapping, which was 2 of the 3, or just no luck in one of the other ones, and now you've lost all that 90 that you won, and you're only up 4. My biggest lesson that I learned in racing over the years was to not get too down on yourself within a day. A lot of times what I would do, if I was having a good day and then I would lose most of that money that I made on the next few races, I would just quit. I would just get frustrated and quit. Mentally, it is a big challenge not to do that. And I learned over the years, you just can't do that because this shit is not, sometimes, you're just wrong. And sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. So you just got to keep plugging away. And so here we went to the McKnight. I said it on the live stream. I wrote it in the guide. Blinkers off. I said, this is my ballsy bet of the day. You got to play this horse. Tide of the Sea, I handicapped this without odds, right? Because I do it. As soon as the card comes out, I handicap it. The horse just jumped off the screen at me immediately. So, bam, right there, Tide of the Sea. Didn't even think about it. That's going to be my top pick. And then we got a little creative underneath. I'll get to that in a minute. But the way we structured it, 10-1 on the morning line, you're right. I knew we wouldn't get that. But I thought we could get 5-1. So I thought it was very, very important to play that horse to win. So one of our wagers was a $10 win wager on number 7, Tide of the Sea. And if you've watched Rocket Hour or if you followed anything we do, I always think it's so important to mix in win wagers if you're going race by race like this. It is so damn important. And once again, at the Breeders' Cup and here, without win wagers, it wouldn't have been that successful of a day. So we got this big, this. You make $40 here, okay? And you might think, well, so what? $40 is $40. You make $90 off a horse, in Performer. These are bankroll builders. These are the things that keep you alive and give you the ammo to take shots, which is exactly what happened here. So we definitely believed a trifecta was a play here. We thought it could pay a lot. Jared liked Doswell. I liked Tide of the Sea. Those were our top 2 choices. And, Doswell kind of got the worst of it. I kind of thought Doswell was going to win the race, got pinched in the stretch, got shuffled back, lost all of momentum. I would give Doswell a pass. Still ran well to get third. And then Temple we used a Temple and Channel Cat. Channel Cat was strictly, we thought the distance, we thought this horse could get up and get second or third. We didn't love him to win. In your situation, I don't know what you did, Ricky. We'll get to in a second. I wouldn't have played Channel Cat in a pick 4, but for tries, he made sense. So we did a 1-7 over 1-4-7-11 over 1-4-5-6-7-11. So we threw in Sadler's Joy in that third spot. We threw in Sir Sahib in the third spot. Again, horses we thought would just run up late. Didn't want any part of them in the top spot. So if you watch the race, here's what happens. The 7 and the 4 pretty much are head and head about midway through. The 4 passes the 7, and the 7 re-rallies and wins the race, actually pulls away and wins by about a length. This was an unbelievable stretch run for Jared and I. This is horse racing in a nutshell and why you get hooked on it. Because everything is riding on that 7 to win in this situation. If the 4 wins, we have the 3 horses that make up the try, but we don't have them in the right spots. So this is a swing of we're going to lose $34 or we're going to make over 100 right here. And it looks like the 7 is beat. He re-rallies, wins the race. We hit the try. We hit the win wager. This was the best race of the day for us. We were going nuts. Thank God we were on mute on the live stream because that would have been embarrassing to have that recorded, what we were doing. So, yeah, this was great. This was just one of those situations. It all worked out. Everything we structured worked out. We handicapped like race 8. Well, it just didn't work out. Well, this race 10, it worked out perfectly for us. Yeah.
So to your point, I'm going to bring up kind of what I did here. I used the one Doswell. I'll admit I have fallen victim to Sadler's Joy. The only reason and in most spots I wouldn't use Sadler's Joy. Let me backtrack. On the live stream, we were broken up into 6 people, groups of 3 top for you guys when you're reviewing it, 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. And we said, let's start with the people on the bottom. So me, my Aaron, and Jared were on the top. So we got race 10 and race 12. So race 9, we didn't even get through with Pacific Gale. So we were kind of out when we were drafting. I went with Sadler's Joy, and everyone looked at me and said, "Oh, I can't believe it." Fair enough. He didn't win. But what I will say is I will never, and Aaron, I know you are the same thing. I will never talk anyone off a horse if you could make the case to me, if you could make the argument. I don't want to hear, "Oh, I like Sadler's Joy because my last name's Sadler." That's not what I'm talking about. Right. I made an eloquent point that this horse has finished 4 out of 6 in the money here at Gulfstream, which I think is important. It's over this turf course. 2 wins here, and at the distance has finished in the money 9 out of 14 times.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. Okay, I'm going to stop you because you did so much right. You'll never convince me to use the horse. You just said 2, and you said 2 key points in the money. So go ahead.
I didn't get to my best point. I really liked him, even though, again, this was more of I liked Tide of the Sea. I didn't think I would get that short of a price, and I'll pull the chart back up in a minute. I love the fact he was coming from Aqueduct and Belmont. Those horses have just been running better. That was really what kind of sold it for me. We saw we thought North Dakota, and Aaron, you could push back. We thought North Dakota was live in the next race in that turf race. Yep. So that was my point too. It wasn't nearly as strong in the Red Smith, but I thought the races from Aqueduct and Belmont were just coming back really strong. So that's really why I liked him. Was he probably a true win candidate coming from so far off? More likely than not. But again,
let me stop you again. I still don't understand it. You just said he's most likely not a win candidate.
No, I would have been very upset if he had beaten us when we were drafting.
So my recommendation, and again, I have no room to talk to you because you cashed way more than I did on this. We both cashed, but you definitely cashed more than I did. I think this is where you can learn something. I don't think this horse and horses like this are ever a use, and I think they waste bullets. That's my point on Sadler's Joy. Now, second, third, underneath, Yeah, but if Sadler's Joy is in anything other than an allowance or a really, really weak stakes, I just don't think he's a huge. It's kind of like on what day was that you almost hit that huge? Was it Thursday on the Rocket last week?
Yeah.
And he used the 10 in the last race at Gulfstream.
Yeah.
I look at Sadler's Joy the exact same way. I think they're bullet wasters. In this case, it didn't hurt you because you had other horses and you used enough. But in those short situations, I think you waste a bullet on a horse like that. But go ahead.
No, and that's fine. And again, some of them, when you're playing, and I'll be honest, when you're playing this way, you could use a few more bullets. I wasn't stupid enough to put Sadler's Joy on top and only single Sadler's Joy. I just said, I don't think he's the best win candidate out of the Doswell Sadler's Joy Tide of the Sea group. I probably would have had him second or third. Okay, was I a little lucky to move on? Sure. I've never heard anyone say, yeah, I handicapped that race great and I got the pick 4 home and all my top choices came home. I've almost never heard that before. Without crazy, 3 to 5 shots. We're not talking about that. I probably could have saved the bullet. I completely agree. I was able to bring this home for $64. The pick 4. I did use the 11 Channel Cat in the pick 4. I didn't use Channel Cat in the pick 6. I wasn't as strongly about him. Looking back at it, I probably should have switched out Sadler's Joy and Channel Cat. Maybe that would, yeah. And luckily, and
no probably about it. You should have.
And you know what? Even when you win, there's still ways you could improve. The only way you can improve is if you hit a pick 6 and your top 6 choices win. If that happens, then you do not need to improve. I promise you do not need to improve. Do exactly what you're doing. Yeah, and I got lucky with Zafel at the beginning of it. But again, it's when you're playing this way, not your way. You can't be unlucky in your way. You kind of have to. You're going race by race. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
I can get lucky here and move on. I could survive in advance. I thought this was a tougher race too. Not quite as tough as the other race, but I thought this one was tough. One of the things that I always like to do, and some people don't agree, at this distance, when it's a weird distance, like 12 furlongs, 11 furlongs, 10 and a half, whatever it is, really try to find horses that have gone this distance before. The 7 Tide of the Sea had. Doswell hadn't, but Tide of the Sea did. I think that's important, and that's one of the reasons I use Sadler's Joy. And maybe moving forward, I won't use Sadler's Joy, and I'll learn. Now, if Sadler's Joy wins, I want everyone on the live stream to apologize to me, but I will make the adjustment. I probably won't use Sadler's Joy unless, like you said, he comes back in like an AOC race where he has to be used. But if he's in a stakes race, you're right. I probably won't use him, and I learned my lesson. Luckily enough, I was able to survive.
Well, here's my. Did you have Temple on your ticket?
I didn't. That was the one that I probably should have used.
So here's my point. Here's my point on it. Okay. Again, I have no room to critique you here. I mean, you made a ton of money on this day, but I do think you got lucky here, just as I did. And listen, if people think luck is not involved in this, they are absolutely kidding themselves. This is 2 people that sell products for a living, and I'm telling you, luck has a lot to do with it. I'll never tell you it doesn't. But here's why I think you did get lucky here. To me, Temple had a lot of upside at 7-8 to 1. Where Sadler's Joy, Channel Cat, it's just like we know what they are.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree.
And that's where I was. I mean, hell, even Sadler's Joy won a damn race and got DQ'd. I mean, he won a really good race and got DQ'd from it. This guy he's just one of those horses, man. But listen,
I agree.
The other thing about it is, though, it's different theories for different people. We don't all have to agree all the time.
Yeah, that's what makes one of the things great. Like I could have seen myself using Temple. That was a Mike Maker, Irad Ortiz. I probably would have been a little upset. Like I saw people in the 6th Sahib comes in, Sir Sahib or Sir Shahib, whatever, comes in at 6 to 1 on the morning line. Are you kidding me? This horse who couldn't win at Woodbine? I mean, again, if you had listened to the beginning of the show or you listened to anything at the Rocket Hour, those Woodbine races do not come back strong. I might have to get that tattooed on my forehead. Where does this horse runs second to last to Tintoretto, the 2-horse Tintoretto, who probably never should have left Germany in 2019. I mean, come on. It's just I'm not getting into that. That horse made 0 cents. So for anyone who used Sir Sahib in anything, I don't want to hear it from you, because Sadler's Joy, if he was running against Sir Sahib, Sadler's Joy wins by 20 lines. Let's move on to the 2 Pegasus races, the Pegasus Turf. I think that's where we are. Yes.
Yep.
Race 11. I'll let you start. I don't remember, honestly. Were you a big Colonel Liam fan, or were you and Jared trying to fade him? How were you guys kind of looking at this race?
Okay, so this is the worst handicapping of a stakes race I've probably ever done. Jared's probably ever done. And then even worse, one of the worst betting decisions we've ever made. So we come into this race $127 ahead, and thank God we were, because boy, we needed it. We lost $40 here. So we both had another twist of fate on top. We both had Breaking the Rules second, and then we had Colonel Liam and Largent in third and fourth. So we had the same top 4. And we said, well, why don't we play a trifecta box with those 4? It's the same 4. And he goes, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we play an exacta box, because we have the same 2? And if we play a $10 exacta box with those 2 for $20 and it comes in, it's going to pay way more than if we play a try. And you know, maybe Pletcher wins and it's a shorter price. I said, because we were going to play a 50-cent try. So his point is we could play a higher denomination for the exacta and it's going to pay more. I said, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. And he's like, if we both like another twist of fate, $20 to win seems like a logical play. And I totally agreed with everything he said. Yeah. Colonel Liam wins, Largent second. We have him in third and fourth, but we don't play any ticket with him on it. It wouldn't have mattered anyway because we didn't have cross-border in third. This was just all around a shit show. Listen, turning for home once again, I thought, well, another twist of fate's going to give it a run here. I wasn't confident another twist of fate was going to win, but I thought we had a shot. And that horse dropped anchor ridiculously bad, finishes 12th. I don't really know what happened. Finished last after, you know, and if you watch the replay back, Pete Aiello says, here's another twist of fate ranging up, like he thought that horse was in the race too. So, yeah, he runs terrible. Breaking the Rules, what just a shitty pick on my part, and Jared's, I guess. Throw him under the bus too. He's not here, but he had him second as well. He was horrible. And I'm just really frustrated. Breaking the Rules ran like shit. You know, Largent was a horse I thought would run really well. But yeah, I thought Colonel Liam was like a defensive use. I said on the blinkers off, you could go a lot of different ways, but don't go the way of the favorite here, because I just thought the value of all the other horses made more sense than betting that horse at a short price. Yeah, this was a nightmare for me all along. So I'll kick it to you, because there's just nothing good to say.
So, well, that's what me.
I was
going to say, I'm going to disagree with you there. Yeah, I completely agree. I used another twist of fate on top. Before we get to the chart, I will show you guys kind of the way I went about it. I did use another twist of fate on top. You could see there. We're talking race 11. I did use Colonel Liam second. I don't remember if they used Colonel Liam or not because they were drafted. So again, for quick recollection, they were drafting. The bottom group was drafting. So I think that was Curtis, Vinny, and Mike. I don't remember.
I think Vinny did. I think Vinny drafted Colonel Liam. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Vinny was on the Todd Pletcher train. If you like Todd Pletcher, you were definitely betting him at Gulfstream. You could see I'm looking at these percentages coming when I downloaded this. He was winning at 26%. Irad Ortiz was winning at 27% for the meet. If you want to fade those two, well, good luck to you, because you're probably not going to end up doing very well. I looked and I talked about this on the live stream. I did use another twist of fate. He was awful. They were really slow fractions. That horse dropped anchor, kind of like Cinnabunny. I don't want to talk about him. If we look at the race 2 back at the Saratoga Derby for Colonel Liam, and this was my strongest horse of the day, even though I didn't put him on top. I probably should have. I just loved what another twist of fate did. And I'll make one point on him after this. Colonel Liam ran in the Saratoga Derby on August 15th in what I think was the best turf field, hands down, in the country. That's me. That's Saratoga bias. I'll be the first to pull my hand up. I'll be the first one to admit it. Domestic Spending, who won that race, would beat this field by 3. Defoe would beat this field by 2.5. And No Word would beat this field by 2.25 if they were all to come back into this field. Well, Ricky, what does that mean? They're not in this field. He finished 4th by 3/4 of a length. Grade 1 winners. I don't think the Saratoga Derby actually has a grade 1. Am I right or wrong, Aaron? Do you know?
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think it does. Yeah, it's like an invitational, and the way Naira did it was like it's like 3 legs or something, or they might have done away with that with COVID. So don't hold me to that. But I don't believe the Saratoga Derby has a grade denomination. I promise you that is a grade 1. I promise you. We talked about this on the live stream. This field, it was solid. This was not the best Pegasus World Cup turf that we'd seen. Yeah. And I would make the argument that it was only grade 1 by name, not necessarily by field. In saying that, Colonel Liam was and we're going to take this down here. We're going to show you now the chart. Was absolutely dominant in terms of the way he was able, and you won't see it won by a neck. In my book, the minute this horse got going in the stretch, it was over. Now, luckily for me, it didn't really look like it was that much. It was going to be a little closer than it was. I didn't have Largent. That was the horse that I put a little cross next to. That's the horse that, like, if someone scratches out, that's the horse I'm going to use. There were no scratches, so I didn't get to Largent. I got a little lucky here, but I absolutely loved Colonel Liam, and I'm happy it played out that way. We talked about also, I think, on the Rocket Hour real quick, Todd Pletcher having so many in this spot. He had Social Paranoia in this spot, and he had Largent in this spot, but he went with Irad Ortiz again on Colonel Liam. I think that was big for me because Social Paranoia had Irad Ortiz last start. So that's one of those situations where we talked about the 12 multiple races ago. Aaron, if you can try to remind me, Luis Saez had no other mounts. Irad Ortiz had experience on other mounts. That was important to note. And I just looked at that race too back in the Saratoga Derby and said, I got to focus in on this race. I'm taking a lot of stock out of it, and it worked out well for me. So again, got to get lucky a little bit. He only won by a neck, but I didn't think there was anyone stopping Colonel Liam down the stretch.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I thought Largent was really good too. Largent got a great trip too, man, up that inside. I thought, oh gosh, he's going to trip out and win. Man, Colonel Liam, you're right. Jared and I watched this replay later that night. But, when you're live, there's a lot of things going on, and you got to go right to the next one. And you can't really concentrate on really what you just saw. But Colonel Liam, man, he just extended that stride. I mean, that was impressive. So you're right, and that was a thing where your opinion became spot on, right? Because you were the only one saying that all week from the whole team. But this Saratoga Derby, that's the key race. I heard that I don't think I heard that from anybody anywhere, actually. And I didn't necessarily disagree, but I wasn't as strong as you. And if I was, then I would have had the horse maybe in the exacta or something. But this was a great call. It was a great call. And it sets us up, right? Because we're all really excited now heading into the World Cup.
Yeah. And again, that's, if I could take it back, and I'm not going to show the ticket again because it's kind of tough to go back and forth. I could have gotten away with that race with just a 5 and 8. Looking back at it, I'll go real quick into why I used the 11. Say the Word. I just really, really liked the race in the Hollywood Turf Cup. I think Arklo's a really, really, really nice horse. I do. Some people don't love Arklo. I do personally, and I thought that this wouldn't be an issue on the cutback for Say the Word. Again, I didn't love the 2 races at Woodbine. I never do. I never will because I don't love Woodbine necessarily. But the race 4 back, that Saratoga went this distance, and he was able to do it. So that's why I use Say the Word. Say the Word sucked. I'll be honest. He was absolutely horrible. But if you look at the odds, he was 8.5 to 1. I wasn't the only one in that camp. So I could have probably gotten away with the 5 and 8. I did like another twist of fate, I'll be honest. I could have gotten away without using say the word. Let's move on to the final race, the race that we were on the live stream for multiple hours for. So sorry if you had to hear us for 3 hours. We had a lot of fun doing it. I learned a lot. I know you learned a lot. We all learned a lot from each other. I hope you guys learned a lot also. That's why we do it. We try to make this community as wide and as big and as strong as possible. And we just love doing it. If we can't be at the track, this is the second best we could probably do. Let's talk about it. Knicks go, K-Knicks go, Knicks go. I don't know what you want to say. You can call that horse whatever you want. You can call that the Joel Rosario specialty, whatever you want to do. Tell me how good that horse was.
Yeah, this was awesome. So we come into the guide on the last race here, and we are $87 ahead, and we've got a $50 win wager on Knicks Go. So we're excited, because no matter what, we're making money on the day, but we felt really confident about Knicks Go. Listen, they've ran the Pegasus 5 times. I've had the winner 5 times. So I feel pretty good about it. And I wrote in the guide, a perfect 4 for 4. And I kind of talked about the trends. The trend of the Pegasus stayed true to its form. Shorter prices, and we've had 3 favorites and 2 second choices win. So go with the class, go with I'm not saying go with the favorite, but go with the horse that with the most class probably on top. And then underneath it gets wild. Hey, Jesus' team, sure, you could have had that one. Independence Hall ran 3rd. What? I was shocked, but I'm always shocked by who hits the board in this race. Independence Hall runs huge, gets 3rd. But I told Jared, I'm not messing with exotics. And it was all just because of I've never hit an exotic in this Pegasus because it's wild underneath. And it was again. We both like Knicks Go on top. Easy decision for us. Only regret is we didn't bet more. We debated between 50 and 100. But we said no. We want to stick to that $300 budget. We try to structure the guides to where anybody with any kind of bankroll can play it. So that's just kind of our theory. And I said, no, let's just do the 50. And, what are you going to do? But anyway, 6-5, this horse went off at, I was watching the NBC feed, so I didn't have the fractions. Which may have been good. I may have been more scared, but Jared and I were watching. I said the whole way, he's, I don't care what the fractions are. He's comfortable. And turning for home, I thought he was 1-9 and he ran like 1-9 shot. He just put him away. You just have to cross out every race before he got to Brad Cox. And you look at his 3 races before or when he got to Brad Cox, I have no idea how you don't pick this horse to win. None. And I'm very bullish on saying that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sorry, I didn't cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. But my biggest thing was it's like, okay, you don't like him. Who are you going to pick? You really want to? You really for a win candidate? You really want to pick Tax over Knicks Go? Really? Like you want to pick Jesus' team to win over Knicks Go? I have no problem with people that played Jesus' team 2nd and 3rd. That was a great horse for that. But to win, no. Knicks Go was a clear standout in the race, and 6-5 was a good enough price.
I completely agree. Before I get into K-Knicks Go, I was excited about Tax, and this was my reasoning. If you look at he ran in this race last year. Obviously, I think we would agree if Mucho Gusto is at his best, he probably beats. In my opinion, I think Mucho Gusto is beating Knicks Go, and that's just my opinion. And I said that coming into the race. The Oaklawn handicap, I don't know. That was multiple months later, and that was to buy my standard. So we would definitely agree he's better than Tax. But he did come back well in the Harlan Holiday. And I Have a Jedi ran really, really well in his race earlier in the day. So I was excited. I did use two horses here. I used K-Knicks Go, or Knicks Go, whatever, and Tax. I'll never get that name right. Knicks Go, K-Knicks Go. I've heard 1,000 things. I did use those 2. Could I have gotten away with just Knicks Go? Probably. But I did put a little stock. I think Mike Somich said he put a lot of stock into the Harlan Holiday. I did as well. So that's kind of where I ended up. I used those two. And before we get to the chart, I'm going to show really quickly here the final ticket here and kind of the way it was structured. Just to here we're going to go. We're going to show the bottom half. I hope everyone could see. It's close enough. You could see I used Code of Honor for third and Jesus' team. Real quick, Jesus' team already lost to Knicks Go, so I didn't need that horse. And Code of Honor, I guess to your point about Sadler's Joy, it's weird. And now I'm going against myself here. In this situation, Code of Honor won one race last year, and that was in the Westchester over a muddy track against Endorsed. Endorsed is a nice horse. I'll say that, but he just hadn't won in a while, and Code of Honor just doesn't win. He's a hard knocking horse, very similar to Sadler's Joy, but doesn't seem to win enough. We just kind of remember Code of Honor for his best. Unfortunately, he's probably just not that anymore. So I did like Tax, and I will say I would probably take Tax back going into the race because my thoughts didn't change. But Knicks Go or Knicks Go, whatever, is just fantastic. I completely agree. Who else were you going to use? That's one of the things about handicapping. Well, I don't want to bet the favorite. Okay, so go out and find me a horse that on paper is better than him or visually. If you could find one, then please avoid Knicks Go at all costs. I didn't get a chance to say that on this live stream, and we were talking about this before. I'm a lot more reserved on the live stream, and the reason being two things. One, it's not my show. I don't host it. It's not my thing. I'm a guest on that show. That's one. So I speak when I'm spoken to. That's
right. You should.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to go. This isn't, there's a host or you and Jared, or hosts, two people. You host, and when I'm asked to speak, I speak. I don't just hop in. That's not the way shows work. That's A. B, this is my show or your show. This is ours. We can do whatever we want on this one. So now this is where I'll get animated and say, we heard opinions that because Brad Cox didn't run, who was the other horse off the top of your head? Maybe I don't remember off the top of my head who hadn't run. I think Vinny mentioned something about it. He hadn't run well, so we weren't sure if Knicks Go was going to run.
Oh, Cinnabunny.
Oh, yeah. Cinnabunny. Okay, I don't subscribe to that theory. You know what? That's like the pitching coach who has a starter who gives up 7 runs while his starter is going to do poorly the next day because the pitching coach. They're two different horses.
Yeah.
Completely different horses. I don't want to hear that. And if you want to look at Knicks Go, what indication was there that he couldn't handle the distance? What? That he'd never done it before? That's your indication that he's never done it before? Not that he was 0 for 4, not that he was 1 for 4 or 1 in the money finish. He had won every race by over 3 lengths. So it, to me, is giving the indication he can do it. So I don't know what that theory was about. I had read that all over Twitter, not just the live stream, not from comments. I saw that all over Twitter. I don't know if I'll handle the distance. When you win by 3 lengths, it looks like you can go more to me.
Well, and just to hop in on to that point real quick, and why I was bullish on the distance is not going to be an issue with this horse. He won twice at a mile and a 16th with Brad Cox, and he won by 7, and he won by 10, and he won under a hand ride. Like he's not slowing down. And the people are like, well, the Breeders' Cup at a mile. Some bitch went out there and ran ridiculous fractions. He should have been slowing down, but that was my big theory. It's like, okay, he set those fractions. They still couldn't beat him at a mile. They're going to run a mile and an eighth. He's probably going to go a little slower because they run slower in mile and eighth races. You don't take the same exact race at a mile or 6 furlongs and think they're going to do the same thing at a mile and eighth. That's not how it works. So yeah, he was able to probably get a little more comfortable in this race. And my biggest point, Ricky, was all week, he beat a better field in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile than this field. And kind of like to your point of the Saratoga Derby and how that was right, I ended up being correct with that point. Who ran second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile? Jesus' team. Who ran second in the Pegasus? Jesus' team. Why? Because these horses were trash that were in here. Sleepy Eyes Todd is one of my favorite horses to root for because he's cool. He wins everywhere. I love horses like that. He's not gonna beat a horse like Knicks Go. It's just not going to happen. He's not at the same level. When Nick's Go was with a different trainer, sure, Sleepy Eyes thought to beat the hell out of him. He's not going to beat the Brad Cox version of Nick's Go. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You know, what's interesting, we had the same theory, but mine, you know, what made my point, I don't want to say more poignant because we have the same point, but to me, it just sticks out a little bit more because I'm picking a horse that finished fourth. But if Nick's Go finished fourth in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and say Jesus' team's not in that race, for the sake of the conversation, Nick's Go, probably we don't see this heavy of a favorite because he would have finished fourth, but we still would have taken that horse. We probably still would have taken him. So you finished fourth. Granted, I'm now talking myself. I should have put Colonel Liam on top.
Yeah.
Liam finished fourth in a much better field than what he probably saw, even though the money wasn't as strong, or even though there was no grade one denomination. I heard a multitude of horses to use. Tax, Harper's First Ride, Code of Honor, Math Wizard. Are you Math Wizard? Really? This horse won 3 races in 20 starts, finished second once in 2020. Oh, but how about Mr. Freeze? Mr. Freeze. He couldn't beat Code of Honor in the Clark. Yeah, but he finished sixth to Nick's. Okay. Really? Okay. Last Judgment. I don't know what the heck Last Judgment faced in his last race. Harper's First Ride. He's coming from Laurel.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Laurel.
Exactly. That was just it. It's just like you don't have any other when Sleepy Eyes Todd is your next best option, that means you don't have any other options when it's a grade 1 race. That is the biggest key. And yeah, it's a weak grade 1 field, but everybody's like, oh, this race sucks. There's nobody here. There's a grade 1 horse who won last time out, who hasn't even been close to losing. I mean, so it's like post Brad Cox hasn't been close to losing, which that's what you have to go by, right?
Yeah.
I think you're big on group of 6. I think group of 3 is all you need.
No, I was just going to say, if at that situation, I don't need the 6. I need
3.
and that only is true when the conditions are the same, not the actual conditions of the race, but no claims, no switch of trainers, nothing like that. If you have those situations, then you might want to go back more than 6.
Yeah.
In the situation, we only needed 3 because we're only looking to how he did with Brad Cox. I think he was trained by Ben Colebrook, correct? Before that?
Yeah, correct.
Well, no offense to Ben Colebrook, but I think we would all agree as a neutral, which I am. I don't know anybody personally. Brad Cox is just better. And this has nothing to do with Ben Colebrook. I think he's a fantastic trainer. I do. Some people are better than others. That's just the way of life. I'm not the end all be all either. There are better handicappers than me, I'm sure, out there. But at the same time, I'm confident what I do, just like I'm sure Ben Colebrook was confident what he was doing with Nick's Go.
Yeah.
That's just the situation. So let's break down kind of what we were able to pay out. You could see at the bottom the total wagers that on my product. I heard a lot of comments. Well, what do you get? How do you get it? It was all on the website. We talked about it on the live stream. It's literally an article that you could see every day. It's in the same spot every day. We were able to bring home some massive, massive tickets. I tweeted out 1 pick 4. My dad and I hit. We didn't hit the early pick 4. We didn't play it. I'll be honest. We only played the back half of the card. I don't have the total of the tickets. I could do it real quick. You could see kind of at the top. I start with the pick 6 because I go in chronological order of the sequence. So it starts in race 7, obviously the pick 6, then 5 and 4. The first one was $172.80. I got lucky with Safel. I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm not going to sit here and say I had that one spot on. I was able to use Aaron. If there's a chance, could we pull up the guide for a minute, the consensus picks on the guide, just so we can kind of walk through it real quick?
Yeah.
We could remove mine for a minute, and as he's working on that, I'll kind of walk through it real quick. I was all over Always Shopping. I think you had Always Shopping. I'm looking here, and we're going to pull that up. Perfect. There you go. It's not all, mine's all kind of cut up. So I have a little bit more detail, and I'll get into some statistics that I was able to pull together for us. And you could see it there. Always Shopping, the La Prevoyante. I hope I said that properly. We all were kind of always on Always Shopping. Pacific Gale, like you said, that was the separator. You always, if you want to get payouts and you want to eliminate people, you need a separator. unless you want to play it for multiple dollars, you can play a $2 pick four, a $3 pick four, a $2 pick five, whatever you want to do. That was a separator. I think a lot of people had Cinnabunny, This My Time, and you were out if you did that. Tie to the Sea. I learned I don't need Sadler's Joy, but I was smart enough to use Tie to the Sea. I never thought we would get 10-1. So there's that. Colonel Liam, I was all over. Slim had Colonel Liam as his top choice. I give Slim credit for this. And he's the third column. Well, the fourth, technically. The race is the first column. So he's the third handicapper column and the fourth column overall. He went with the Todd Pletcher. He said, I'm not messing around. He said, Colonel Liam, Large and Social Paranoia, another twist of fate. I don't blame him for doing that. It kind of worked out that way because Largent was second. So give credit to Saratoga Slim there, who knows Saratoga better than anyone, I promise. And then Knicks Go, whatever the name is, he just rounded it off. We're going to get to the tickets here at the bottom. I'll talk about the early pick four real quick at the end. So the pick six paid over $2,000, almost $2,150. The pick five, a little over $1,100. And the pick four, $613.20. And I'll read off the prices. The pick, what I was recommending. The pick six was $172.80. And I get it. It is not the cheapest ticket of all time. Could I have eliminated a few? Sure. But this is one of those situations that I only recommend that ticket if your budget allows it to. Please do not put your rent money on it. Please don't put it on the line if you're paying for food. If you have the money to do so. If you don't, then you can cut it in half. You can eliminate a few. I will admit, if you cut a few horses out, you probably wouldn't have gotten to Safel necessarily, unless you maybe single Knicks Go. But I'll be honest, these are prices that a lot of people will play. It's not that crazy of a ticket. I'll be brutally honest. The pick five was $144. It's not that brutal of a ticket. I'll be honest with you, especially on a day like this when you know the pools are going to pay. And the $64 ticket, that was probably a touch more than I normally recommend, I'll be honest. But I just thought it was a really, really, really tough sequence. I probably would have eliminated Bronx Beauty in the early part, but I didn't want to get rid of Pacific Gale. Aaron, I'm going to throw it to you. Kind of, because I want the self-criticism and for other people on a scale, forget about me cashing the tickets because at the end of the day, that's the result. And that is important, probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Kind of walk me through what you thought my thought process was, and kind of for everyone else, what they can kind of take away from this weekend and how we can kind of look at things moving forward.
Yeah, you did well. I just think the biggest thing is don't use Sadler's Joy and don't use horses like Sadler's Joy. Honestly, and that's the only criticism I have. And to me, it's fair to me to say it because I've been consistent with it for a week now. Well, last Thursday. Just stop using those stupid horses. But no, everything else. Yeah, I think the Pacific Gale was just that was a good call. That was a really good call. I wish I could have had that one with you. Real quick, I was looking. I hadn't even looked at the consensus. So the winner of the Fred Hooper we had on top. The winner of the Marshall's River we had in third. The La Proviante, however you like to say that. You said much better than me, by the way. Always Shopping, we had that one on top. The Inside Information, Pacific Gale was in third. The WL McKnight, Tie to the Sea was in second. The World Cup Turf, Colonel Liam was in third. And the World Cup, obviously, Knicks Go. So on the consensus picks, you could have just went 3x3x3x3x3 and cashed every multi-race wager. I didn't even know that was a thing until we pulled this up. So that's great.
Yeah, no. So the first one I wouldn't have gotten to because Safel finished fourth. So I wouldn't have been able to get the pick six if I went 3x3. But that is a good point, though.
No, I'm talking about the consensus that we do at the right with everybody's combined.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, that's a fair point. So if you're like, I'm not really sure what to do, I said this on Friday. I said buy the guy because you're going to have everything. Even if it's not going to have the results you're looking for, I promise you, you will have everything you need. And again, we talk about it all the time. Yeah, I cashed and I played it with my father. Mm-hmm. It's up to you what you're comfortable with, how you like to play it. These are just recommendations. We're not saying just, deposit all your money into your account and play it this way. It's your opinion at the end of the day. We're just here to kind of help and give you what we think and how we kind of see it.
I think the people want to know, have you bought anything yet? Has your dad bought anything yet? That's what everybody wants to know that's tuning in still.
So that is a good question. I'm going to be the responsible one. I am going to pay off some college debt. I know it is not. It's not the fun. The
most Ricky answer ever, right?
Well, you know what? If anyone who knows me, I don't want to say I'm cheap, because I don't think that's the case. But when I have a good time, I like to have a good time. I think everyone should, and I had a fun time Saturday night. I will just leave it at that. But at the end of the day, the college debt will not eliminate itself, unfortunately. So if I can throw, a couple $1,000s in there, oh boy, sure, I'm going to do that. Quick note, Syracuse is very expensive. So we're throwing that out there. No, at the end of the day, the consensus did really, really well. There's a few stats that I want to throw out there, and I'll say for myself, you guys, the way I told Aaron I was going to do this, and I still believe I'm going to. I want to do this for the entire year. It's not real quick to answer J. Will's point. I have hit a pick six before. It is very, very rare. You need more luck than you know where to begin with. I'll be the first one to admit that. So it was not my first. It was my first on a day like this. To hit something on Pegasus Day, and it's just to Aaron's point. Pacific Gale was a separator. I will completely agree. But at the end of the day, you don't need to create all this value. You pick your horses, and on a day like this, it'll get the job done for you. Pacific Gale was the only horse that I think paid maybe double digits. Am I correct? Performer sure as hell didn't. Safel didn't. Tide of the Sea maybe did. I think Tide of the Sea was about 4.5 to 1. So I think Tide of the Sea might have. Colonel Liam didn't, and Nick's Go certainly didn't. So you didn't need to go out there and create these massive tickets and make sure you have every horse covered, because it was pretty formful. And Pacific Gale just ran a race that I thought, sitting that perfect trip, he could run.
Yeah, and you made a really good point. On these big days, you just need to get it home. They're gonna 9 times out of 10, they're gonna pay no matter who comes in. It's kind of the same as when we talk about a 12-horse field at Gulfstream and it's race 9 and they're $25,000 maiden claimers, and I play a trifecta box every damn time because it's like they're gonna pay. Like there's 100 ways you can go. Same here. The fields or the pools, are so juiced with so much money and so many people trying to do what you're saying, create that value. If you can get some shorter prices, you still got to get one, logical long shot home there. But yeah, it can pay. And then that's execution, Ricky. That's execution. Smart man, Ricky P, paying off that college debt. Listen though, what about your dad? What's he bought? What's he done? We are in the process of now buying a brand new couch. It's going to be really, really nice. Ooh. So yeah, he said I said on the live stream he's going to do something for the family, which he did. And I definitely think this is for the family. Our couch was definitely, I'm not going to show it. It was definitely wearing though. So we're going to do it nice. There's going to be some recliners in there. It's going to be really, really nice. Hopefully we can maybe show that one day. We'll see. Right now I'm in my room, so I'm not going to move around. I think for Wednesday we should see the old couch. We should see the new couch. We should take a tour of Ricky's life. I think that would be fantastic.
Well, we will not. I promise you, we will not be showing the old couch. When I say worn, I'm putting it lightly. So we will not show the old couch. Maybe we could do a day in the life of his room. Maybe it's big. I admit it's not big, but it's enough. I get all my work done. It's great. But we will not be showing that couch. So this is the stat. And this is what I was talking about. On a serious note, with the Pegasus. No, that's fine. I love having some fun. I hope people are enjoying it. There were 7 stakes races on Saturday. The way I envision doing this, and I'll try to keep it updated. I'll tweet it. You guys can make fun of me for being a nerd. Don't make fun of me. Whatever you want to do. I don't care. 7 stakes races, 4 points each. The way you accumulate your points is where you get your winner. If you get it in first, 4 points, second, 3 points, if you third is 2 points, and obviously fourth is 1 point. If you finish fifth, sorry, you get a big fat nothing. There were 28 points available. So in the consensus, I didn't do the consensus, but the consensus probably would have done really, really well. So everyone had performer for first. They all got 4 points.
Right.
So there were 28 points possible. 7 times 4, 28. Very simple math. Again,
Gotcha.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I know I can do 7 times 4. I promise. To Aaron's point, though, there were 28 points. I'm not gonna embarrass anyone. I'm not gonna do all that. I finished with 21 points. I think that's a hell of a day. If you average that out, that means you're getting second in every race. 3 because you get 3 for second. 3 times 7. It would have been interesting as you talk.
You're on a roll.
Yeah, no. And you know what? I've always told people, why was I? People ask me. I got a few DMs. You need to be more vocal on the live stream. Or you need to show more excitement. While I do agree with that,
I agree with that as well.
No. Everyone has said that, and Aaron said it to me. Jared said it to me. One of the things I hold true, in all seriousness, there are those days where you just get nipped at the wire, where you just have a bad day handicapping, and I promise you, it'll come this week. I don't know when. I will have a bad day. Everyone does. You play enough. You're right. You do a product like I do. You do a product like Aaron does. You will have a bad day. I promise you, it will happen. I keep that in the back of my mind, not to get too high, not to get too low. So that's just me. That's the way I operate. I know Curtis, when he's come on, he's super energetic. You're really energetic. That's great. And now I'm being energetic also because this is my show. This is my shit. This is our shit. We can do it. That wasn't the time and place, in my opinion. I was still kind of soaking it all in, I'll be honest. But at the same time, I always try to, just to Aaron's point, keep this in the back of your mind. Highs and lows every day. It's going to happen. Aaron taught me that as soon as I started. He said, try new things, work on new techniques, because that will help you moving on. You'll see what you do like, what you don't like, how you can incorporate it. I've learned to not use Sadler's Joy. I think some other people tried. I think some other people learned, don't try to beat the best horses in the field. So to wrap it all up, I finished with 21. Aaron, you did really, really well. You had 17. That ranks like third. Curtis finished, and Curtis and Slim, Magic and Curtis, I should say, they finished with 19. I will keep a standings all year just because I got out to a good start. Sure as hell does not mean I will finish first. It's not important for you guys to pay attention to, but it's just kind of a way to say, this is what we're doing. And Aaron, I'll let you talk real quick because I want to get one more stat together. I'm going to see how the consensus did, and that's really what that shows is a prowess of the group.
I actually think it's important for people that are buying the guide to kind of look at Happy Standings, because you kind of follow along, well, who's been hot all year long. So yeah, I really like that. I'm glad that I wasn't last, because then I would have said, don't put that on there, so I'm glad that I got third. That's great. Santa Bunny is why I blame for not being higher. So, but 21, man, listen, this guy, he's feeling it. Ricky's feeling it. He's coming out of his shell today on the Rocket Hour. So, it's been good, Ricky.
I try. It's, in all seriousness, it's one of those situations, and I've said this before, while I do have to work on it myself, I agree. It's very tough in the live streams, because when you have a lot of people, it's just tough to get through your whole point. Thank you, Steve. I do appreciate that. I'm not looking away on purpose. I'm trying to get a stat together just to kind of talk about how we did as a group. And no, in all seriousness, it's just one of those situations where I had a really good day. I don't know what the next guide is going to be. And folks, there are some guides where Aaron says, Ricky, screw you. I'm not taking your opinion. No, it's just one of those things where we don't do consensus for what, we just don't do it. So it's one of those situations where we don't always do it. So I'm not going to factor it those. Performer of the consensus, I'll do this out loud, is 4 points. Zafel, 2 points. We're up to 6 points. Always Shopping, 4 points. That's 10 points. Pacific Gale is another 2 points. We're up to 12. Tide of the Sea, 3 points. We're up to 15. Colonel Liam would have gotten us another 2, is 17. And K-Nix, or Nix Go, 21 for 4 points, would have been 21.
Tied you.
What'd you say?
Tied you. Didn't you have 21 as well?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but it goes to show, I guess the only place that I didn't do as well would have been Safel, was 1 spot up, because I got Colonel Liam slightly ahead, Nix Go at the same spot. Tide to See, I had a slightly behind the consensus as well. I only finished one spot off, and it goes to show you that the consensus, what we're doing, is good stuff. I promise you, it's good stuff.
It also shows the only way to be as smart as Ricky is to combine the whole force. It's like, Captain Planet when they combined all their force. You probably don't know Captain Planet. Maybe somebody listening knows
I don't
it.
even know what I ate for breakfast.
The Captain Planet where they all combine the forces and then it forms Ricky. And I think is what we were talking about.
It's just one of, and folks, I will be tweeting this out again. Please call me out on it. Please call me a nerd. I don't care. I'm gonna laugh.
You will.
I promise. Yeah, that's fine. And if you're watching, or if you're one of us, then you're watching, or I tweet this out and it's offensive, do better. I don't know how else to say it.
Man, you're setting up for the next time we do this and you don't do well. God, we're just gonna bury you. It's gonna be so fun.
That's fine. I can't wait. The only opinion that I wish I could have back was the Sadler's Joy opinion, but I will. How about this? I'm gonna tweet the standings out, and I'm gonna tag everyone in them.
Great.
And if I get a text from someone outside of you, because you're on this with me, if I get a text from someone, I'm gonna say sorry. I'm just the numbers speak for themselves. I will respond with the numbers speak for themselves. Do better. I don't care if anyone hates me. I'm going to stay with my chest. And the minute I have a low number and I bring myself back down to earth, I'll be the first one to admit I had a really bad day, and I'll be all there for it. Look. Well,
to be fair, like last Friday, you came on and said I screwed up the last race and I cost myself $1,500. Yeah. So
you know what? Yeah. Again, and it's funny you talk about that. I knew I was going to lose. I knew it because the way the sequence is breaking down, I had two of the favorites or two quarter prices, not heavy favorites, but two of the favorites in that spot.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I'm not getting this one home, and it's a bad feeling to have. But I texted one of my buddies who said, "How you feeling about this?" After I'm looking here. I think it was after Tide of the Sea. Yeah. When it was just that we were down to Colonel Liam and Nick's go, and I said, "I'm feeling really, really good about this." And I knew once Colonel Liam got home, I almost didn't have to watch the race, to be honest with you. The only reason I left the live stream was so I could watch it with my dad, because all these races I was watching by myself, but I knew he really would have wanted to watch it with me. So that's what I'm going to do. I will call people out. Yes, this is the fun of the handicapping community. Yes, that's what we are trying to do. Yeah. If you have an opinion and you think I'm an idiot, please tell me.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. Exactly.
Yeah. I will be more than happy to tell you why I think I'm right or why I think you're wrong. And at the end of the day, we see how it plays out on the track. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. I've been wrong more times than I've been right. I could promise you that. Again, folks, I'm only 24 years old, so I'm always listening to Aaron. I'm always listening to Curtis. I'm always listening to Slim, Mike, everyone. Paul Withrow, if you guys have seen him on. Everyone that is part of this group has high quality information, high quality stats to back it up, and a high quality thought process as to why they think that way. And
do you listen to Ryan is the question. You left out Ryan. Do you listen
to Ryan? If you're listening or you get to listen, sorry. Ryan is the one who created this video, so I owe him all the gratitude. Sorry, Ryan. I knew I couldn't get to everyone. Jared as well.
You left out Jared too.
No, I only left Jared out because I don't want to hear about Mahomes. That's the only reason. Before we end this real quick, we will talk really, really quick football. Like we've been on here for a long time. We just want to, before we do that, we do want, Steve, you're right. That's my motto. That's what I'm going to use in 2021. First guide was a success for me. The next one, who knows? I'll have a lot of work to do to stay on that number one spot. Real quick, thank you guys for tuning in today. Before we talk some football, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for getting the guide, backing me. The Rockets are always available Thursday through Sunday. Always love your feedback. Always love your input. Anything I can improve on, Aaron can improve on, the group can improve on. Anything, always constructive criticism is welcome, no matter how you get it to us. We really, really appreciate it. We love interacting with you guys. We do love cashing tickets. Trust me, we do. But this is part of it also. Aaron taught me a long time ago that it's not about how you do on a day. It's the customer service sometimes that people get. Those are the people that we want, people that are going to interact with us No email, no question, no comment is a bad one. If you're going to curse at us, please keep that to yourself.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, that's that. We're having good vibes in 2021.
Correct.
But if you have a concern or you're not happy with something, just voice it to us politely, and we will, either myself or Aaron or Jared or Curtis or someone will address it the best way we can. Without further ado, let's talk some football. We're going to remove this. We're just going to go me and you. Nothing to add here. Me and you. Quick thoughts. Yesterday. What the deal? Aaron Rodgers. At some point, you've got to get to another Super Bowl. This is another poor NFC Championship performance. He had his chances. Brady threw 3 picks, so the Packers had their opportunities. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, everybody wants to jump in and say, oh, the penalty at the end of the game and all the refs want Brady and all this stuff. The bottom line is exactly what you said. Brady turned the ball over 3 times. They hardly got any points off of the turnovers. They had the ball multiple times with it 28-23 or 31-23, and they couldn't get the job done. I don't agree with the field goal to make it 31-26, but they had so many other chances in the game. And, Brady played a tremendous first half. He played very average, if not poor, in the second half. So he gave them chances. They didn't take advantage of it. And when there's 8 seconds left and you have the ball, or the other team has the ball on the 40-yard line, try not to let anybody get behind you. It doesn't really seem like it's that hard. That, when you get right down to it, that was probably the football game right there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I have so much to say about the Chiefs game that I want to go through this quick.
Okay.
It's just one of those situations where Brady gave you the chances.
Yep.
I know Aaron Jones fumbled the ball, which kind of put them in a bad spot early on, and they were down early. I give Aaron Rodgers coming back to some degree some credit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find a way to get that job done on his end. But he wasn't the number one culprit. Matt LaFleur, I hate to do this to you. I do. I think you're a phenomenal coach. I think you do the younger community like me really, really well. And I'm much younger than you, Matt LaFleur, I promise. You got to give your quarterback a chance on 4th down to tie the game. You have to. You had your chances. I think they had 2 chances prior to, and they weren't moving the ball. I get you had 4 timeouts with the 2-minute warning. I do. I really, really do. And I don't want to say the blame's all on him, because I actually do understand that point. We've seen like Doug Peterson try to go for a tie. Yeah, your team finished 4-11-1. That was good. Keep going for ties, you moron. Matt LaFleur, I get it. You had 4 timeouts, and I actually did like their team jumped offside when it was 2nd and 1 to just create a new set of downs. That was smart. I didn't notice that. Yep. At the end of the day, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Devontae Adams, you have Robert Tonyan, you have Jamal Williams. You got to give Rodgers a shot. I will also say Rodgers on 3rd down, you got to scramble. I'm sorry, you can't force it. Even if you pick up 3 yards, if it's 4th and 4 or 4th and 5, LaFleur might have a different opinion, because at 4th and 8, it is tough to pick up the 1st down. I will give you that. It's just one of those situations where, like, dude, you have Rodgers, you have the MVP. I think we all agree he'll be the MVP. It's one of those situations where, like, you got to get it done. And this is a good point by Jay Will. I think the Jones injury after the second half seemed to be overlooked. I agree. He is the best runner. If you're Green Bay, I don't always vouch moving forward. I don't always vouch for signing running backs long term. You need him because he is a free agent. Jamal Williams is also a free agent. I know you drafted A.J. Dillon. That will be a decision to be made for sure. I'll let you get to Mr. Mahomes. Enough with the Packers. Did Jared watch the game with you, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Just break down the whole situation for me, the way he was going, the way he was watching. I really wish he had come on today, or at least at this moment, the way he was watching. I know you were wearing your Mahomes jersey on Saturday. My deepest, sincerest apologies that you had to do that. Kind of walk me through the whole weekend, the way he was talking about it, the way I know you were probably rooting for the Bills. Kind of walk me through your mindset from, I guess, Saturday when you were wearing your Mahomes jersey to last night when the game ended.
Yeah, it was fun watching. He definitely was going crazy. I think the funniest thing about it is when they had the fumbled punt and the Bills went ahead 9-0. Last year I think Chiefs fans would have been a little worried. This year he's like, well, we've got out and ahead and like blown like 8 games in a row. So maybe this will help get us like revert us back to when last year when we actually beat teams like we should. And boy, did it not do that. I mean, my goodness, they really turned it on. Offense was incredible after the falling behind 9-0. It was real intense at the house, but then the second half was kind of relaxed because it's like, yeah, this isn't really a game. Like this is a team that's on another level. I thought Mahomes was brilliant. I thought Tyreek, other than the drop to what would have, I think, been a touchdown in the first quarter, he was fantastic. Kelsey was fantastic. The Chiefs, they're still having trouble running the ball. I think that's the only, criticism you could make of their offense. But, man, they're really, really good. And, I thought Josh Allen, he played tough is how I would describe it. He didn't play great, but he did hang in there. He did show that I think he's going to be a really, really good quarterback. But I thought the difference in the game was the Chiefs defensively they were all over Allen. They were more physical, and it just seemed like the Bills couldn't get anybody open for a lot of that game. It was a dominant performance. To me, the Chiefs are heavy favorites going into the Super Bowl.
Where do I begin? Josh Allen, he's nice. Not Mahomes' level. I heard that way too much.
Yeah.
I'll put him as the second best quarterback in the AFC. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Is there anyone? I know I'm a Lamar guy, but I still probably have Josh Allen. That's kind of where I came out. I saw a quarterback that had a turf toe injury, that was in the concussion protocol, that I don't think even had a concussion, but when it's but if it's above the shoulder area, you're automatically into the concussion protocol. The other thing is Patrick Mahomes is a baller.
He is.
I was very, very hesitant on the way the Chiefs have been playing. What we learned is but I did mention at the beginning, I think on the live stream, championship pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the horse that kind of shows up, and they don't look great on paper, but they have a lot of grade 1 wins. And when they enter the gate in the grade 1, they kind of know when to show up. There's no one that comes to my mind, because when you have a grade 1 winner, they're always good. But it's just one of those situations that, like, they don't look great maybe at a grade 3, but then, like, when they know the crowd's there, people are cheering normally, no COVID.
Right.
Everyone's at the track. They're all at the gate. They're waving their tickets. They're pumping their programs. They kind of just know when to run. I kind of like what the Chiefs do. And I hate doing that in football because it doesn't work out. Kind of does when you have the Chiefs. I also heard Stephon Diggs is a better wide receiver than Tyreek Hill. I had Stephon Diggs on my fantasy team. He's not a better wide receiver, folks. He's really, really good. Like top 5. I'll make the argument this year he was top 2. He's not top 3, because I would put Devontae Adams as 1. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not as fast. I think his route running might be a little bit crisper, but overall, he's not better. Stephon Diggs is really, really good, though. I do worry about their running game. I think their best running back opted out for the season. That's Damian Williams. I've been saying that all year. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire had Justin Jefferson, who's going to be probably second in the offensive rookie voting behind Justin Herbert. Jamar Chase, who will be a top 5 pick this year in the NFL draft, opposite side as another wide receiver. And he had Joe Burrow. You guys might have heard of Joe Burrow once. You might have heard of him. It's one of those situations where Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a lot of talent around him in college. He's a nice player, but he's a scat back. I don't think he's a 20-carry game guy. He did it before against the Bills. Moving forward, this could be the best Super Bowl. We're talking about baby goat. versus mature goat.
Yep.
This could be the best Super Bowl on paper that I can remember in quite a long time. I can't wait. I'm so happy Mahomes won just so I can root for Brady in the Super Bowl. Real quick, you said they were the favorites. Before we wrap up, would you give the 3.5 points?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will. I just think I'm kind of with you. You kind of said they showed their class. They're just classier. If we're going to make it into a horse racing term, they're just classier. They just are. This guy, you're right. It's baby goat versus mature goat or whatever it is. It really is. But the baby goat is ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. He made a throw. He makes throws that I've watched football. I'm 37 and I've watched football ever since I've had eyes. So 37 years. And I've been to, thousands of football games live. I've watched football at all levels. I've never seen a guy make throws like this guy. He made a throw to Kelsey last night. I think it was really early in the game. And they put like the backwards camera like above. And he threw it and it's like, where is he throwing it? He just, then boom, just Kelsey's just right there. He's like, he's unbelievable. And here's the problem. Okay, he is incredible. Kelsey's the best tight end in the league. Tyreek Hill, he probably is the best wide receiver in the league, but the best way, he's not, but the best way to say it, he's the most dangerous wide receiver in the league because he has a skill set that nobody else has, right? So like, is he like a Devontae Adams, let's say? I don't know. Like Devontae Adams is probably, if you put them all in in a box, it's like, sure, but you think outside the box and all the things that you can do with Tyreek Hill that you can't do with any other player. You've got him in the backfield. You've got him in motion. You've got him in reverses. You've got him, in counters. You can throw screens to him. You can go deep to him. He does everything, Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I think the best way to sum it up is he is the best for Mahomes. And what I mean by that, their ability to kind of make things up on the go, I would say backyard football is kind of the best way to describe it. The fact he's extremely quick, Mahomes has one of the best arms in the league. I would actually put Josh Allen in that category too. It doesn't seem like there's a throw that Patrick Mahomes is ever short on, ever. Right. He's obviously too long on throws or inaccurate, but the fact that Tyreek Hill is the fastest wide receiver in football is just incredible. Mahomes is probably one of the few guys that can actually get him the ball that far, 60, 70 yards on the field. It's tough, and you have Kelsey, who's just a mismatch. Like you said, he's the best tight end. Patrick Mahomes is the best in football at his position, and I would say if I'm starting a team right now, he is the number one player. I would say it is close, though, between him and Aaron Donald. I will say that because I think getting a type of guy like that on defense is also vital. But Mahomes is the first guy that you would be taking because he would set up your franchise for at least 10 years, more likely 15. They have so many weapons around them. I think it's really, really important. Great job to the Kansas City organization for bringing in Le'Veon Bell, for drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, for bringing Darrell Williams, for having Tyreek Hill on your team, for having Travis Kelce on your team, to give the ball to Mecole Hardman after he fumbled it, making sure he got in the end zone. That's like one thing that's elite level coaching, right? Where you fumble the ball and we say, we're going right back to you. Be ready. The ball's coming to you. Either sit down and don't play, or the ball's coming to you. Mecole Hardman scored a touchdown. I think maybe the first touchdown they scored. I don't remember, maybe the second, something like that. They went right to him and said, look, we're going to get you the ball. So you can shut down mentally or you cannot. It's just one of those things. So, Jay Will said it again. You're right. He's the perfect fit, fastest, and he's the quickest.
He's just unique. I've never really, and I watched him at Oklahoma State too, because I'm a huge, obviously, and it's just like, you can't really define what he is. He's just different. You can do so many different gadgets and weird things with him. And maybe if he's with, some idiot that doesn't really understand offense, then you don't see it. But Andy Reid can he's the king of the gadget play, right? And he can just maximize what the guy can do. It's really ridiculous what this guy can do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's interesting. Real quick before we wrap up, it's interesting that I thought the over-under would be a touch shorter. I think it's sitting around 57.5. Maybe it's hopped up. We'll obviously talk about it across the week. We've been on for almost 2 hours, so thank you guys if you tuned in for a little bit. If you tuned in for a lot of it, if you're watching the whole thing, if you're going to watch later, we want to or listen later. However, we want to thank you guys for just listening in. To sum everything up, forget about football for a minute. It was just a great weekend overall. We wish we had another guide for you this week. There's just not enough to write a guide about. I got to be honest. It's it's a lower week. We have the Swale at Gulfstream, the Holy Bull, right? That's this weekend at Gulfstream also. Am I incorrect?
Nope, you're right. The big week, very big week.
Yeah, it's a big week. We won't have a guide. We have a few races from Oaklawn as well. We have the San Marcos Stakes, the San Pasquale Stakes at Santa Anita. So check that out. I know Curtis Magic Callaward will have a bunch of previews, and I'm sure he has recaps for the weekend if you didn't get a chance to watch or you didn't listen to me rant for 2 hours. Without further ado, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe. Hope you guys were able to play the Rockets on Saturday. If you hadn't, don't worry. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll actually be back on the Rocket Hour in 2 days, less than 48 hours from now, probably about 46 hours and 54 minutes or whatever it is. Next, we'll be on Wednesday at 11 a.m. to break down the Gulfstream card, the back half of the late pick 4, as we always do. So again, please send us emails, DMs, go on Twitter, make fun of me when I post our consensus picks. Thank you, Ron, again. Ron, appreciate it. Everyone keep sending your constructive criticism, things we can do better, things we're doing well. That's also important. I'm sure, hopefully we're doing some things well. So kind of tell us we're doing those things well also, because constructive criticism is great, but it's nice to hear what we're doing well and what we can continue to do at the same time. So I'll keep that in mind. Again, no comment, no question, unless it's very, very bad, like cursing is a bad thing here.
I'll ignore most of them, but Ricky will answer them. So
I will answer them. If you come on Twitter and curse at me, you might get a response. I won't curse at you back. I promise I won't curse at you back, but you might not like the response. So again, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Stay safe, happy, healthy, all that good stuff. Without further ado, we will see you on Wednesday. If you do want to tune in or listen again, maybe you missed something, I will be retweeting it. The dudes will be retweeting this stream as well. So excuse me, so you can always catch that later today or tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.